Okay, just to give you a background, I'm Prince. I work for ING Bank as a VP Data Analytics, Regional Data Analytics team. I head the Regional Data Analytics and the Regulatory Reporting team. From background perspective, I've been working in Microsoft Technologies for last 14 plus years and have been working on those Power BI stuffs and across. Okay, so the topic of our discussion today is journey of data from a data lake to Synapse to Power BI. How we can get the data from the data lake to the Power BI reports. That's what we are going to cover. It's a very fast-paced track across, so that we can I can show you some small demos across. Okay, so what I'm going to start with, simple stuff. What is data? Data is just facts and description, observations, and it comes in many forms, not only one, but it comes in thousand forms. And basically you can classify data into structured, unstructured, and semi-structured data. A non-structured data is a semi-structured data which can be is not purely in rows and columns, but are in different structure and can differ across different files across. So, and then structured data, we all know, we all work on day-to-day basis in Excel, MS Access, SQL Server, across all those things. So this is just a basic definition of data from the facts and the attributes perspective. um, but when it comes to unstructured data, you can get a lot of examples like IoT, emails, messages, the so-called invoices, records that are not very structured in a sense. Then you have your so-called JSON data, Parquet files that are not, basically is not a viewable or is not a state consumption data across. Okay, so today we'll take an example of an IoT data. So these are not, and these are very non-related data. Sometimes you can't find a data that is very relational data. They just keeps on having your so-called JSON documents. So for today's example, because we have a lot of less time, we'll start with IoT data. What is IoT? IoT is just a sensor data that is across, has been from starting itself, from the start of you can find IoTs everywhere across the world. So these keeps on censoring, these sensors data are being captured, and but on initially, before this Azure data lake and all those things, it was very hard to analyze these kinds of data. But with this Azure, with this all Synapse analytics and all this coming into picture, this data is becoming very much feasible to be analyzed. Another feature of unstructured data is it comes in bulk. It comes in a lot of quantity, so it's very difficult to manage the storage part in terms of your so-called SQL servers and all those stuff. So that's why we have this data lakes and all those new kind of storages where you can blob storages and all those stuff where you can store the data in a way, bulk of data with a very less amount of space and all that stuff. Now let's jump. So I'll just give you a small structure of JSON. If you see, these are the JSON. This is not a typical key. It's a typical key value relationship stuff out in the file, but it's not in rows and columns. So you will find thousands kinds of JSON files across, and then you need to merge it and then get the data structured information out of it. So we'll learn that how we can do with Synapse today. Okay, so before I go into analytics structure and all this stuff, I'll go show you. We as IoT on Azure Synapse, on Azure, we have created a 10 IoT devices that has been we have simulated it to be placed in two buildings across different kind of rooms, and we have placed those into those devices into that, and it has captured the data in those JSON files. I'll just show you a sample of JSON file here. Let me see if I can see one here. Okay. Let me open one file. So this data has been stored here. So what we are going to show you today is that how this data looks like, and how we're going to use this data, unstructured data, to get to a data lake, to a Synapse, to a Power BI report itself. Okay, so let me show you first. Okay, the file. Okay. Okay. See, so if it open this file, so see, this is a very unstructured data of those devices, and this is what we need to analyze it. As of now, you won't be able to understand what exactly this data, but I'm going to show you steps how we can use it to see. So this is the storage where we have stored this. So this IoT data is storing this JSON data every 5 minutes, taking temperatures of the rooms and sending this into the our data lake. So this is our data lake where it has started storing all this data across. Okay, so once the data is here, what you can do without using your real SQL pools, we're going to use the serverless SQL pool. I think someone already presented an hour ago about how the SQL serverless pool can be used in Synapse to get the structured data, get the metadata out of it. So this is something we're going to do on similar lines. So what had happened, so it got all this data across. So we just showed you the data, and this is your Synapse workspace. Where Synapse workspace, where your automatically links your data storages, your so-called data lakes can be linked out there. But how you want to view it? So it's a very easy way to view this data. So you can create external tables. You create a metadata layer over top of this data structure. That what does this metadata is simple, like what we do it with SQL views, what we do with SQL index views and all those stuffs. Here what it does, because you don't store them, it creates an external date table. External table is nothing but similar kind of a view where you can index the views also, where you can index those tables as well, where it just creates a metadata on top of your real structure. I'm going to just show you a simple example. So this was a normal CSV file that we have it there. So it created a metadata over top of that device, and it shows this data in this way. So it creates a metadata layer on top of the real data. I'll just show you from the view perspective also. So it uses the open set row function from the SQL to query all this data stuff. So just see, it created this. I just took out the information from the JSON file uh, to capture these column data across here. I'll just show you the file again just to show you how you can view this. So if you see in the end, what I did, I used this body.ts to capture the date time. Then I use the body.dev. Body is the main stuff here. So this is how I used it to capture the data. So it's easily captured out here. So once you have this views created, you have those tables created, it really helps you build a metadata layer on top of your unstructured data. And this now how you can use this in the Power BI. It's a very simple way. On you just need to use your Synapse Studio, go to this develop part, go to this Power BI, create a data set. Okay, it tells you, it goes here. Okay, then it opens this Power BI data set. You can just open a new Power BI data set and start creating a data set for yourself. So you can use which database you want to use. I'll just show you. So if you see on the SQL pools, you'll find your which database you want to. By default, if you're not using any dedicated or you haven't created any database, it will create everything in masters by default if it's just a serverless SQL pool. But because I created a database on to create those external tables, it's showing those databases names. So it depends upon you how you want to capture and how much amount of stuff you want to put in that. Okay, so once this is done, you saw the layer already there. Now you can create those Power BI data set that links to a particular database in your Azure system. So once that is there, you guys can go to this Power BI report, capture that data, and now suddenly now you can see your main building, how which temperatures are there, what was the so-called give me a second. So I'll just give, well, see, I have that thing. Okay, before that you just can capture the data from that the file, how it looks like. I'm just trying to show you. Okay, give me a second. I have the power. Okay, yeah, see, so if I go there, wait, where is it? Okay, um, so you get the same device ID temperature. We are just capturing that view itself. So I've added certain columns to capture data and those things in the Power Queries. So this is how you can get every stuff ready for your reports. And then you can create those reports. Like I created one in the sample here. I just created a so-called timed time ID because I divided that because I wanted to do proper data modeling. So I divided the time into the numbers. So 10 10 0 0 is 10 hours, 13 hours, and 20 hours. So this is how what I created. This is 20 hours, and this is 2 hours 42 minutes 38 seconds. So this is what I have done it from that perspective. You can create multiple reports capturing this data, uh, and this is how you guys can have a data from a non-structured system to a very structured report level. So this is how it covers the whole system. Just now, just to cover the architecture, because I have 1 minute left, I'll just cover it very fast. So this is a very this is a workplace where Azure Synapse is able to connect multiple Azure systems, multiple Azure services across into a one zone where it can be used for analytics. You can use Azure Data Lake as a analytical store system. You can use Cosmos DB. And now with Cosmos DB, you get an analytical store as well, which can be pulled into Synapse for doing analysis. You can do your SQL servers connection to it. You can do your so-called you can connect your Sparks, and then can create those Spark tables, and then can get those tables to a Power BI. I hope I am able to give you some structure from a Synapse Analytics perspective, that how you can use those Synapse to bridge the gap between the data lake data to Power BI, and how the data from a journey perspective can go from one system to another to another.